Hey guys, Sam here at NA Studios. Thanks so much for checking the video out. Today I want to take a first look at the brand new Slate Digital FG36A. This is a really simple plugin that does one job and it does it extremely well. It's so simple, you've just got two knobs. You've got intensity and you've got output. And this plugin is designed to just give you a brilliance on top, a high-end boost on top of a vocal or whatever instrument you decide to put it on. And it does work on other instruments as well, as we're going to see. Now this adds a lovely top end to a vocal, which helps it sit on top of a mix. But it doesn't make it too aggressive, it doesn't make it too bright, it just adds that beautiful sheen on top. Let's take a listen to an example of this before and after. I'm going to do it soloed without the backing track and then with the track on top so you can really hear exactly what this is doing.
Taste for it. My gums are bleeding, chewing tinfoil from an empty fridge. Wasted again. I made a meal and threw it up behind a Brooklyn bridge.
So let's dig in a little bit deeper. To me, that just sounds like you've lifted a sheet off the vocal. It sounds so much brighter, but without being too harsh. It just helps it sit atop the mix, but it's not poking through too much, and on the right kind of voice, this can work just absolute wonders. Let's go in a little bit further though. So we've got this intensity knob. Let's just bring this all the way down to start off with, and then we're gradually going to bring it up. You'll see here that it goes from green through yellow and orange and then all the way to red. And this is going to move as you play the track, and you're going to see exactly how much of this effect is being added. So take a look at this meter as we're adding some more intensity, and just take a listen to exactly what it's doing.
Taste for it. My gums are bleeding, chewing tinfoil from an empty fridge. Wasted again. I made a meal and threw it up behind a Brooklyn bridge.
So for me, sitting around that 5 to 6 area is kind of the sweet spot. If you have a particularly dull sounding vocal, then cranking it up to 8 or 9 is really going to work wonders. Let's take a listen in the track and see exactly what it's doing as we go up to the extreme settings. And then I'm going to discuss a little bit about how I like to work with this plugin with the presets that come with VMR.
Taste for it. My gums are bleeding, chewing tinfoil from an empty.
So from there, it sounded really nice.
Wasted again. I made a meal and threw it up behind a Brooklyn bridge.
Let's hear it again without, and then let's go for it with.
Taste for it. My gums are bleeding, chewing tinfoil from an empty fridge.
Just kind of loses life without it.
Wasted again. I made a meal and threw it up behind a Brooklyn bridge.
Now this is a vocal that someone has sent me to mix. I have no idea what mic it was recorded through, but it sounds a little bit dull. It doesn't sound quite as in your face as it should be. And this plugin is just working wonders with that. I've got the FG2A before it, just adding a bit of gentle compression, not going too crazy with that. We can put it before, we can put it after. Let's just take a listen to what it sounds like if we put the FG36A before the compressor and then after. So having it before, then we're going to be compressing that top end as well, so we're going to get a slightly different sound.
Taste for it. My gums are bleeding, chewing tinfoil from an empty fridge.
Put it after again.
Wasted again. I made a meal and threw it up behind a Brooklyn bridge.
I think we can kind of add a little bit more if we've got it afterwards, and it sounds great. But the one way that I'm really enjoying using this is adding it to the presets. So especially on the dream strips, up the top, what I like to do is just have my kick sound and my snare sound up the top straight away. And I just like to be able to call on those and just click it and bring it up as the preset. As we know, VMR comes with any number of presets. And one of the presets that I really like is in the vocals section, and it's on Classic Opto Vocal. It's a great sounding preset, but on this particular voice, I just feel like it needs a little more shimmer, a little more shine. Just take a listen.
Taste
Let's just put it in. Bring the intensity up.
Wasted again. I made a meal and threw it up behind a Brooklyn bridge.
Let's go before and after.
Taste for it. My gums are bleeding to intent for from an empty fridge.
It just lifts it slightly. It just means that it's sitting on top of the vocal. It's not getting too aggressive. It's not getting too harsh. It's just sitting up there. But what I really love to be able to do here is just call upon it whenever I want. It just sits on top of any preset that you've got and just means that you can essentially have a brightness knob just for that preset. You've got all the compression, all the overall saturation, but you just need to make it a little bit brighter. You can slap this 36A on it and it's going to do exactly that. So I'm just going to save this one as a bright vocal. Let's go bright vocal. I'm going to save it in my dream strips, and then it just comes up at the top and I can just select it whenever I want. But it's not just the vocal that it sounds great on. Let's try it on acoustic guitar on this track and see how it sounds. So let's just solo this acoustic guitar and hear exactly what this 36A is doing for the acoustic. It's a bit subtler on an acoustic instrument, but once you crank it up to around that 7 or 8 mark, you really start to hear a difference. Starting to cut through there. Go before and then with it on. Let's take a listen to that in the mix.
Taste for it. My gums are bleeding to intent for from an empty fridge. Wasted again. I made a meal and threw it up behind a Brooklyn bridge.
It's just allowing it to poke through, and although we've got those two plugins on two different instruments, it's not making those two instruments really clash. It's not like adding the exact same EQ boost to both instruments, like that's going to kind of get in the way, a bit of frequency masking. It's not really doing that. It's just brightening both in kind of its own way, and that's really, really effective. Let's take a look at some curves and see exactly what this is doing. So let's take a look at this curve before anything. Then let's just bring on the FG36, not doing anything on its own. Let's bring up that intensity and just see what it's doing. So overall, it's giving a lift. By the time we get up to about 3.5, we've got a real high shelf here, coming up from like 3K and really boosting up. And then as we go even higher, that high shelf is really coming up. Let's go. So it's not just a high shelf, it's kind of doing that thing where you cut down a little bit before it's being boosted and then boosting up, which is really handy because it means that it's not making anything too aggressive. It's boosting up from like 3.5 or 4K, 3K, something like that, and doing a real high shelf, but it's taking out a little bit just below that, so it's not getting too aggressive in that like 3.5K area, which is really handy. And as we go all the way up, you can see it's almost getting up to 20 dB of real top end there. You're not really going to go up to those super high levels, but where we're up at like +6 on the intensity, you can see it's adding like a 12 dB shelf there, right all the way up at like 17K. And that's where that brightness is really coming through. And again, all I'm going to do here, these are my compression settings that I like on the FG Stress. I love having this 36A just on the top, just adding a bit of extra sheen. So let's save this. Let's save this as bright AC. And let's save this into, I don't know, let's save this into guitars. And then it's going to go into my dream strip so that I know whenever I have a guitar that needs brightening up, an acoustic guitar, I can just chuck on that bright acoustic preset and it's going to brighten things up. It's going to open things up. And it's just going to add that sheen, that shimmering high end to my acoustic guitars in the same way as it did to the vocals. Thanks so much for checking the video out. I'm loving what this is doing to vocals, to that acoustic guitar, and I'm looking forward to trying it out on a load of other instruments. This could add a nice amount of snap to a snare. This could be great on an overhead bus, on a room track that needs brightening, on synths. The possibilities are endless. If you found out a good use for it that you want to share, shove it down in the comments below and I'll read it and reply. And let's work out exactly what we can use this super simple but fantastic plugin for. You can pick up the FG36A now, along with the rest of the virtual mix rack in the Slate All Access Pass. Thanks so much for checking it out. I'll see you again soon. Take care.